Today we're going to talk about a disease that's popping up across some of the western corn belt here in Kansas and Nebraska called bacterial leaf streak, otherwise known as BLS. Bacterial leaf streak, just a little bit of a history, was first detected in the United States in the state of Nebraska in 2016. It has since traveled across a chunk of the Midwest all the way over to some of the I states. But it's a disease that is not found every single year. It's not found in every field. And management wise is really a rotational scenario, as the disease does actually reside in residue from infected fields from years before. When you think about this disease, it's important to know it is a bacterial infection, hence the name bacterial leaf streak. It is not a fungal infection. So oftentimes we think let's go ahead and let's spray this field with fungicide because we're seeing disease show up. Well, the fungicides will not do anything for this because it's bacterial. So from a management perspective, other than rotation, there's just not a lot we can do, other than maybe hybrid selection, and I'll get to that. But again, this originated in the United States in 2016, found in Nebraska. Prior to that, it was previously only found in South Africa. And this is a disease that really affects all types of corn. Obviously, the corn that we've got out in normal run-of-the-mill fields, but also sweet corn, also seed production fields or seed corn as well. So when we think about this disease and symptoms that show up, it really can look very similar to a lot of common diseases out there, specifically gray leaf spot. It enters the plant through the stomata, which really kind of keeps it in that banding type pattern or that banding appearance. And when you look at how does this differ from gray leaf spot, I think to me the thing that really sticks out is you're going to see this interveinal lesions, and when you first come upon it and it's in its infancy, it's almost kind of a yellow streaking, and then it kind of looks like there's common rust in the middle of it that potentially kind of turns red. But a lot of these lesions will then continue to move on and be kind of that brownish, orangish, yellowish look. And one thing also about the lesions on bacterial leaf streak is that they are actually translucent when you put it up to light. Okay, so it's a disease that we're seeing pop up. I think one of the key things that's probably helping it along would be the high temperatures that we've had and our moisture conditions. Across a lot of our area, we've had really strong moisture. And so when you combine that with heat, it actually is aiding the development and the formation of the BLS or bacterial leaf streak. So one thing, while this is bacterial, that you're just going to continue to see within this disease and the look and the symptoms is that unlike Goss's wilt, unlike Stewart's wilt, it's actually not systemic. So you're just going to basically see those interveinal lesions. Um, they're going to develop and then they're going to continue to potentially develop depending on the hybrid, depending on the environment. But again, you're not going to see a wilting scenario show up like you would Goss's wilt as that continues to progress. Again, very structured lines within the veins. It's not like Goss's wilt, even though it's bacterial. Goss's wilt has that water-soaked lesion look where it kind of bleeds like a water painting across the veins, whereas bacterial leaf streak, you will not see that. So let's talk about what we can do once we have it. First, there are some hybrid sensitivities out there. I will tell you that you don't see a lot of ratings out there in the industry. There's not a lot of seed companies, if any, that really have bacterial leaf streak ratings on them. We saw this disease pop up in the West, probably 4 years ago or so. And a lot of the hybrids that we were moving at that point in time, we don't have still today. But we do have a few of them. And so one of the common things that I've seen genetically that BLS seems to be more aggressive in would be the male that's used in our cropland 5370, 5115, our new 5682. And then most of the other products, I just don't see it show up a ton. With that being said, there's a fair amount of 5370 on acres in the state of Kansas, and I would say when you look at it from a physical appearance, cropland 5370 within the cropland lineup it's probably one of those that you're going to see more lesions on than others. I think you're going to see more on 5370 than you will those other couple hybrids that I mentioned. 5370 is very notably sensitive more than 5335, which shares the same male parent. But again, you're just going to see those lesions show up. And I think the great news is, while this has been out since 2016, there's been several, essentially plots or yield data points, or however you want to look at it. There's actually been some studies that have shown that clear up to 40% of the leaf area covered in BLS and still seeing no yield reduction. So while that's hard to believe from a, gosh, look at this, this really looks damaged or really looks hindered. Um, Time and time again, be it university, be it seed organization, be it genetic supplier, we just don't see subsequent yield loss from this disease showing up. So I think the great news, while it can be an eyesore, while you will see some hybrids that are more sensitive than others, all the data out there that I've seen, firsthand, that I've seen doing research on this disease, you just don't see a yield loss. So never fun to see that stuff show up on your fields, in your plots, etc. But again, I think it's really important to know that it's not a panic button, and these hybrids will yield right through it. So again, just an overview, just an understanding of bacterial leaf streak. Again, bacterial disease, bacterial pathogen. Fungicides do not work on this. Yield losses really have never been found with bacterial leaf streak. And symptomology really is the interveinal lesions, kind of that yellowing orangish look, and you will not see across the veins within the leaf structure. So again, just a review, you're going to see some of this out there. So take a look in your fields.